Super Mario Glitchy 4, or as most people know them, SMG4. SMG4 has been on YouTube for over a decade at this point, making Super Mario SFMs. Actually, I don't know if you can call these SFMs. Sometimes they have animation, but most of the time it's just them moving ragdolls around in Gmod. And in the old ones, they didn't even use Gmod, so I don't know. But anyway, SMG4 has been and still is very popular. Like, if you look at his most popular videos, a lot of them are just from a couple years ago. Except for Tubby TV, that one just snuck in there. The original plan for this video was just to be the standard nostalgic lays for about like 10 minutes or so, but with my original post, many people seem to talk about them as if they've drastically fallen off within the last couple years. Some people say this started with a character called Meggy, but I don't really know who that character is, so unfortunately it requires me to do something I never thought I'd have to do. Research and planning for a video.
3 days later.
What the fuck is Niles? Anyway, I personally haven't watched them in years, so I thought for this video I would go back through their catalog, of course, starting with the, the OG videos, then the nostalgic ones, working my way up to the more modern videos to see if I can find out what went wrong, or if anything did in fact go wrong, and we're just clinging onto the nostalgic videos claiming they're better with no proof, but I guess we'll see. SMG4 got its start on YouTube by creating Super Mario 64 bloopers, a popular genre at the time that saw people taking normal footage of Super Mario 64 and mainly just putting text over it. Although SMG4 is easily the most popular channel to create these, he was not the first. The main one being Megaman765, the one who coined the term Super Mario 64 blooper. SMG4's early videos were very similar to other blooper channels of the time, but eventually more production would be put into the videos, and he started using the popular sandbox game Garry's Mod as a way to enhance the story and overall quality of the vids. Eventually, SMG4 would manage to carve out his own style, which led him to gaining a ton of fans that probably wouldn't have cared about blooper videos otherwise, like me. Basically, what I'm saying is SMG4 videos were more high quality, only to be consumed by the most sophisticated of people. Retard carts.
How much signal I need to cut across 8 lane? None? I turn now. Good luck, everybody else.
Holy shit, the Yato Shy Guy. Oh my god. One of SMG4's most earliest and popular series is 64, which I will be censoring from now on to not upset YouTube's precious ears. But anyway, even though they were named differently, R64 was basically the same thing as the typical SMG4 blooper, but they were definitely more akin to early YouTube poops. But not long after this, SMG4 would create his magnum opus, his most popular video and the first video from him I ever watched that made me a fan. Who let the guards and retards?
Everybody wants to smell like titty sprinkles.
Who let the chomp out? When my friend and I first watched this, we were dying laughing after 2 minutes. It's truly my favorite video from him and the most popular and nostalgic. But then he just kept making bangers. Not even a month later, he'd release Freddy's Spaghetteria, obviously cashing in on the popularity of FNAF at the time. And as an autist growing up in the early 2010s, you know my ass loved me some FNAF. This video was like my Citizen Kane as a kid, even though like 80% of the jokes centered around but I didn't know what that word meant, so I'm sure it was fine. Anyway, one aspect I remember always enjoying about his videos would be the vast library of sound effects to his disposal. A lot of them, of course, being from the Mario series itself, but most of them would be from other popular videos and memes. Every now and then, you'd get something from like TF2, Smosh, some Vine, Dorkly. Even years after I'd stopped watching SMG4, I'd stumble upon some random video I'd never seen just to be hit by a sound I have heard a million times before.
Where to buy a pet Russian dolphin?
Anyway, another series that was started around this time was the If Mario Was in Blank series, where Mario was thrown into various different IPs to cause chaos. Even though that's just what he does in like every video really, but like this time he's in Friday Night Funkin'. What the fuck is this? 8 million views.
Well, I'm out, guys. If this is what's cool now, I think I'm done. I no longer have any connection to this world. I'm gonna go home and kill myself.
Speaking of SMG4's depiction of Mario, the only real word to describe it would be the golden word we've been using all day today. Can you guess what it is? He'd usually just be aggressive, annoying, and stupid, causing most of the problems in each episode, usually requiring SMG4 to come in to fix things. Oh yeah, that reminds me that SMG4 himself was usually a main character in the videos with his own OC that looked just like Mario, which probably was never explained, but at least he was a fat Italian. This will be changed later, but we'll get to that. Other characters include Luigi, who is used as a punching bag like most internet depictions of Luigi. He's basically Robin from Forest Fire's Lego Batman series, and if you don't know what I mean by that, I mean he's extremely gay.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
channel. Toad was also used as a punching bag, but usually it was deserved. I don't remember Peach having a character at all, really. If she did, then she definitely got replaced by like one of the 15 anime girls, but like we'll get to that or something. Also, Bowser was there. He was just fat and incompetent. The only other major character I remember is SMG3, which is basically just a clone. It might have been explained, but I don't fucking know. Anyway, he's just an evil version of SMG4 and was a major antagonist in a lot of the old episodes, but I don't remember him showing up too much when I was watching. But he appears to have had a major resurgence in the modern videos. He's like one of the main characters now. Anyway, the golden era of SMG4 continued. I remained watching for a good bit until around 2016. There wasn't anything too specific that made me stop watching. It was probably just the fact that I was going into middle school and SMG4 just wasn't that funny or cool anymore. Nah, that wasn't it. I was still watching SML, dog.
I'm gonna plow Junior so hard.
One of the last things I remember from this era was the introduction of Fishy Boopkins, which unlike all the other characters actually had a voice. For now. I'm sorry to tell all you Fishy Boopkins fans, but I never really liked this character or found them funny. They were usually just annoying, but not the good annoying that they probably intended, which is a theme that apparently continues with another character, Meggy. Now, I didn't know a lot about this character, but I had heard some crazy things, like just this one character led to the downfall of SMG4 entirely. Now, as of writing this, I've yet to see if that's true, but the night's still young. We'll find out. But I gotta say, it's pretty bad when even the wiki has a literal warning about how controversial this character is. Anyway, Meggy was first introduced in What If Mario Was in Splatoon. The video is pretty typical for this series, but it's funny to think that the entire future direction of this channel was just because Toadstool wanted orange fucking paint. Just go to Home Depot, motherfucker! But unlike previous one-off characters in the series, for some reason, Meggy just kept appearing in future videos, which is actually pretty typical for this channel. They always bring back characters for like running gags and such. But no other character has transcended to main character status like Meggy has, or at least none after their very first appearance. From looking online, mostly Reddit, it seems like Meggy was a pretty good character at first, but over the years she just got more flanderized and just kept getting pushed into stuff. I even saw the word Mary Sue being thrown around. So even if she didn't cause the downfall of SMG4, she definitely at least left some sour taste in people's mouths. Anyway, that's all I have to say about this stupid character. Moving on.
What the fuck? Holy shit, dude, what's the matter? What happened? What's going on?
There's so much porn!
Okay, so by this point, I'd completely dropped SMG4, so I don't really know the specifics of anything that happened during this era. Like, would this be considered classic or modern? I don't really know. All I know is that around this time is when they started Glitch Productions, which I'm sure most people have heard of. They have some pretty popular shows like whatever Murder Drones is and then the Amazing Digital Brain Rot Circus. I don't fucking know. I only know it from fucking YouTube Shorts, which is not a good look. And they just released a new pilot like a couple days ago, so I say they're doing pretty good. Alright, back to SMG4. Judging by the videos themselves, they don't seem to be too dissimilar to the classic ones. Wait, who the fuck is this pink bitch? Why is there a random anime girl in my Mario blooper? What the fuck? Anyway, ignoring that... Wait, what is this? Meta Runner? Oh, okay. It's just one of their shows on Glitch Productions. That makes sense to promote it here. Hold on. Why is the main character appearing in the Mario videos? And not even like a one-off side character. No, this bitch is now a main character. Actually, she appeared on SMG4 first. Well, at least according to the wiki. I did not just see age pop up. Okay, enough joking. This is something that I heard about over the years, that being random anime girl OCs that started appearing in the mainline videos. This also applies to Meggy now, as she ditched the Inkling look entirely for an original model. Why the fuck is Aaron Hansen and the Odd Ones out here? It's actually kind of funny he collaborated with the two biggest sellouts ever on YouTube. Also, it's been 4 years SMG4. You can privately sneak peeks bloating your fucking video page. Yeah, I've heard a lot of complaints about these new characters that they added, about them taking some of the spotlight from the classic characters, but honestly, I see this being just a natural progression of this channel. It's pretty obvious with things like Glitch Productions that SMG4 wanted to change things up a bit and make things more episodic with original characters and plots and lore and stuff. So naturally, a lot of the IP characters got left out. It makes sense. The real complaints could be that he already took the pre-existing show and tried to turn it into something way different. One-off wacky Mario adventures to anime girl versus god episodic arcs. If that's the reason some people don't like modern SMG4, that's honestly fair. Which reminds me, let's just rewind a bit to talk about the arcs. Like I said, during this time the show went through a pretty substantial evolution and started creating multiple episode-long story arcs that people would have to watch fully to understand. It all started with the Waluigi arc in 2018, which was probably very well received as a nice break of formula once in a while, you know, definitely helped stir the pot a bit. This led them to continue creating more arcs like the anime arc, which may or may not be where all these anime girls are coming from. I don't know. I ain't watching all that. Also, during this arc, Meggy got an original design so they could make merch. I mean, so they could enhance her story arc. Also, during the anime arc, permadeath was introduced into the show, and having watched a good bit of SMG4, I can see why that would be a weird decision. But I guess it makes sense now with actual storylines with actual characters and arcs have gotten introduced. YouTube arc, Genesis arc, Revelation arc, why are they taking names from the Bible now? Lawsuit arc, and that's not even mentioning all the movies. Yeah, they were still making one-off videos and all, but a lot more focus was definitely being put into these storylines. And although they were being received well, I think it might have led to some problems. That being old viewers and maybe even some new viewers trying to get into the series. Now, it may seem like I'm talking out of my ass with this claim, but no joke, this is my second time rewriting this part of the script due to how confused I was trying to learn about the SMG story progression. This comment was not a fucking lie. Because if these arcs are as important as they seem, then I don't think you just be able to pick up any SMG4 video. Okay, well, maybe just some. I don't know. Maybe Mario vs. Skibidi Toilet has deep lore connections. Anyway, I don't think you can really just casually watch these videos nowadays. Not unless you watch the arcs from the very beginning. Most being longer than actual movies. Especially the Cosmology Saga. Almost 8 hours long. Bro, my brain can barely take 5 seconds of SMG4 brain rot, let alone 8 hours. Also, yes, I know this is multiple arcs put into one, but they're all connected, so fuck you. Anyway, most old fans probably don't have the time to sit down and catch up on the SMG4 story, especially considering most of them probably have trigger warning and or something stupid like that. If you haven't watched SMG4 in a while, then the SMG4 and SMG3 rank SMG4 characters video is good to watch if you want to be confused. You get a lot of information thrown at you that you'd need to watch the show consistently to understand. Like, even just looking at their most recent upload, it's some weird furry revenge story or something. If the anime OCs weren't bad enough, there's a damn furry now. They're also a MILF. Man, Mario should have never played Roblox. It's all their fault. Alright, we've gone a little bit too far. Let's back up a bit. Hey, look, that character everyone hated now has her own show, so we never have to see her again. And she's back. But at least that show they forced in is now completed, so that's one anime girl down. Never mind.
What's wrong with your face?
Okay, now we've entered what I like to call the SMG4 new face era. I don't know if that's a thing, I just made it up. But as you can see, his self-insert OC now has a completely original face, which would usually be the correct order of events, you know. The original main character OC first, then the fan service anime girls later. Look, even SMG3 is now back. But they are both voice acted now, along with the anime girls.
Actually, SMG3 has been back, and they've been voice acted long before that video.
Shut your fucking face.
Anyway, when I first heard about the face change, I thought it was typical Nintendo shitting on their community, but no, this was an actual decision they decided to make. I don't really hate it since it makes sense. Merchandise. I mean, come on, just look at some of this shit. Suddenly, life has new meaning to me. There's beauty up above, things we never take notice of. You wake up, suddenly you're in love. I need it. I'm just kidding. But still, I am surprised that Nintendo has not absolutely spread their cheeks wide open for using Mario and depicting him as a for an entire decade. I mean, they did an entire arc for this concept alone, but obviously that wasn't real since, you know, they still use Mario, and he's still retarded. So I guess I don't have to rag on Nintendo this time.
Bruh.
Fuck you, Nintendo. One thing I've yet to truly talk about is the animation, and also how it changes throughout the show. In the classic days, you had a wide range of styles like Gmod and Super Mario 64. In the modern episodes, they've basically completely stopped using Super Mario 64, only using it for like one-off gags and such. They mostly just use limited SFM animation and Gmod ragdolls. And use those ragdolls they fucking do. Like, holy shit, stop moving for 1 second. I get that your modern fanbase probably has the attention span of a goldfish, but do you really have to make them move so sporadically? I'd say the old videos definitely had the perfect line between sporadic ragdoll movements and not that, I guess. There's no basic comparison anymore since they don't use Super Mario 64. Their animation is definitely better though, especially the ragdoll movements. They're pretty impressive for a show that comes out weekly, but like I said, they move a little too much for me. Yeah, whatever, Grandpa. I guess they still kinda use custom Super Mario 64 models for like a frame or two, but that doesn't really count, let's be honest. Okay, so after reviewing all of the evidence, I can see why some people would think that SMG4 has fallen off or gotten worse. The main factors being more episodic videos and OCs I don't care about. Except you. This probably resulted in modern SMG4 being very alienating for anyone who hasn't watched it in a long time. But coming from a guy who vastly enjoys the old videos more, I can see why someone would still watch modern SMG4. It's just not my cup of tea. I just don't enjoy this fast-paced, in-your-face style of content anymore, especially when it's filled with a ton of characters with already established lore. I like more refined videos. Also, like I said, the reason they probably started introducing more and more OCs was just to sell merchandise. Like Mr. Puzzle. I really don't like Mr. Puzzle. Stupid fucking Tumblr bait character. They're pretty good at making those, not gonna lie. Also, this is totally unrelated, but I really like this comment on their Christmas video. It reminds me of those stupid, overly serious Family Guy comments you see children or old people post. Anyway, if you really want to watch a video that goes into way more detail about SMG4 than I'm willing to, then I recommend the Blue Guys video on it. It was literally released 3 days after SMG4 won the video poll, so that's fucking great timing. Anyway, I can't think of anything more to mention. That's about as close to a conclusion as I can get. But if you liked the video, leave a like and maybe even subscribe. If you didn't like the video and thought it sucked, comment down below and let me know what you hated about it. Alright, cool. Thanks for watching. I want to fuck the SMG4 MILF cat.